It's been said before and again that at some time, humanity needs to leave Earth. Here are 5 planets that are similar to Earth that show promise, but have been classified together as alien exoplanets, until further notice. Welcome to One Away. If you've ever been interested in human-friendly planets, make sure to watch this video as we break down what each of these planets offers, especially the last on this list. The Kepler 452b. It was just discovered recently and quite probably, the most Earth-like planet that NASA has come across out of the Kepler list so far. This has made many funders, space enthusiasts, and the prospect of human interstellar travel regain a new hope. For once, this planet might become the planet for humans to thrive. It isn't perfect, as probably no planet can best Earth, but it's close. It's a far-off planet, with around 1,400 light-years space from that of the Earth. But, the parent or host star that it has, is very similar to that of Earth's middle-aged star, the Sun. This is important to consider due to the long-held adaptation that humans have had when it comes to sunlight, which affects so much on the cellular level. Most of these light adaptations, of course, affect circadian rhythms, hormonal regulation, and immune system function. So long as people remain human, there is a genetic biological need for light. And the light that has close proximity to the Sun's effects offer a great advantage. The scale of a planet is quite important when you consider that one of humanity's greatest problems is overpopulation. And, the Kepler 452b is 1.6 times the scale of Earth, which has great promise. Plus, compared to other planets, researchers have been able to make the case that this planet is to a great extent rocky. The Kepler 22b. Thus planet categorized as Kepler 22b was arguable, the first planet to get the habitable zone tag, relative to its star. Not to mention, it has an advantage in scale, compared to the Earth. The planet's scale, to some estimates, is around 2.4 times to that of the Earth. But for the meantime, the Kepler 22b is a tough sell for many space adventure funders. For one, the planet is around 600 light-years away from the Earth. This would arguably prove an extended duration trip for any human expedition to make. And, for a planet deemed by the scientific community as a super-Earth, many aren't even sure if it's of a liquid terrain, gaseous, or even rocky. But, much of its orbit is considerably longer, at around 290 days. Which, compared to others, the orbit time for this one is comparable to the Earth. And that's A+. The Kepler 69c. Another of the Kepler line is the Kepler 69c, which showcases its habitable features via its parent or host star. Of course, like any good investment, it has its unique setbacks. For one, the Kepler 69c is 2,700 light-years away from Earth. And another, research isn't sure what exactly the composition of this planet is. But the main sell has always been its luminous light source. The star is 80% as luminous as the Sun of the Earth. Apart from genetic and biological requirements, no human would love to live on a planet without any source of light, especially for a planet that distant. The Kepler 69c seems to offer that light source, which includes an orbit pace of about 242 days. Not exactly as the Earth, but close to it, and with a luminous star host as a light source. Even better, the planet has 70% more scale than that of the Earth. The Kepler 186f. Though a valid candidate, the Kepler 186f hasn't always been the best one. It's not without its advantages though. On one end, the Kepler 186f has 10% more of a scale than the Earth. On the other hand, it resides in a habitable zone from its parent host star. Granted, it has some drawbacks, such as that it only receives 1/3 of that star, which is a great difference of the Earth to the Sun. And like another planet, its star is considerably different, a red dwarf. Not exactly a good argument for an Earth twin, but that's speculation. The planet though is 500 light-years away from the Earth, the Gliese 667cc. Probably one of the more considerable choices is the exoplanet of Gliese 667cc, which falls under the habitable zone, though researchers aren't fully on board. One particular consideration they have is whether or not this planet has a rocky terrain. Though scientists aren't really sure about the terrain, they are confident, they are some degree, that the planet is 4.5 times as massive as the Earth. The scale alone can make up for many population problems among human civilizations, though not the only one. Compared to Earth, the Gliese 667cc exoplanet can complete an orbit around a star for a mean time of 28 days. The star it orbits around is different though, as it's termed as a red dwarf, which researchers deem cool compared to the Sun. Compared to Earth's relationship to the Sun though, an observatory from Chile posts that the orbits themselves are close enough to become flares. The planet has a certain promise to it, especially it's a considerable scale for human habitation, and that it's also around 2.2 light-years from Earth. Which compared to other planets, is a relatively short trip. And that means more accessible exploration. This planet certainly seems a good risk for further investigation. What about you? What do you think? Must humanity remain on Earth? If you love Earth so far, our video on 10 shocking things which will happen in the next 100 years will probably interest you very much. Or, if you want to become one of the people to explore the exoplanets on the list, you may want to check out our video on what a space adventure feels like.